The Philippines has been in the headlines lately for the election of Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. as the new president in May 2022. This is partially because Marcos is the son of the country's infamous former dictator, Ferdinand Emmanuel EDRALIN Marcos Sr., and also because the new president has prioritized strong ties with the United States, marking a sharp departure from the foreign policy of his predecessor, Rodrigo Duterte. What does this shift mean for the country? How did the United States react? And most importantly, why the sudden change? Welcome to Around the World, and today we'll be looking at the real reason the Philippines has become America's ally. The story of Philippine foreign policy is a tale of twists and turns, of leaders grappling with competing pressures and trying to navigate a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. And perhaps no one exemplifies this better than former President Rodrigo Duterte, whose 4 years in power were marked by a complex dance with China and the United States. To understand how sudden and important the Philippines' change of foreign policy is, you need to understand that not too long ago, former President Duterte sought to decrease the Philippines' reliance on Washington and instead chose to pursue partnerships with China and Russia. For much of his presidency, Duterte pursued a pro-China strategy, seeking to reduce the Philippines' reliance on the United States and forge closer ties with Beijing. However, to be fair, he was criticized by many for ignoring the Permanent Court of Arbitration's 2016 ruling that rejected Beijing's claims to disputed waters in the South China Sea, and for allowing China to make significant inroads into Philippine territory and influence. Sadly, these policies proved to be a failure in the face of China's aggressive territorial expansion in the South China Sea. See, China's encirclement of the Philippines-administered Thitu Island with hundreds of militia boats, the authorization of the Chinese Coast Guard to fire on non-Chinese vessels throughout the South China Sea, and the mooring of over 200 Chinese fishing militia boats at the disputed WHITSUN Reef have made Duterte's policy seem not only out of touch with reality, but even dangerous to Philippine national security. But even Duterte was ultimately forced to reverse course. See, as of July 2020, he allowed the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs to recognize the court's ruling, which he had previously ignored for fear of undermining his own pro-Beijing strategy. And in July 2021, he canceled his plan to terminate the Philippines' U.S. Visiting Forces Agreement, recognizing that the U.S.-Philippines alliance was essential to countering China's rising assertiveness in the South China Sea. These moves were a recognition that the geopolitical landscape in the region was rapidly changing, and that the Philippines needed to navigate a delicate balance between two superpowers with competing interests. Duterte's dance with China and the United States was a high-stakes game, with the future of the Philippines and the wider region at stake. Despite the criticisms and challenges, Duterte's foreign policy was undoubtedly a tale of twists and turns, as he navigated the complicated geopolitical landscape of the 21st century. His attempt to pivot towards China and Russia was a bold move that sought to decrease the Philippines' reliance on the United States and forge new partnerships with rising powers. However, Duterte's pro-China strategy ultimately proved to be unsustainable in the face of China's aggressive territorial expansion in the South China Sea. China's blatant disregard for international law and its expansionist ambitions forced Duterte to reverse course and recognize the importance of the U.S.-Philippines alliance in countering China's rising assertiveness. In contrast, however, Marcos has made it clear that he intends to return to normal alliance relations with the United States. This is not an abrupt decision, but rather a logical one in light of China's behavior in the region. This is maybe because before him, Marcos's father had also prioritized ties with the United States during the Cold War, and it seems that his son recognizes the importance of continuing this relationship in the face of China's growing influence in the region. This shift in foreign policy also has important implications for Washington's security alliances in the Indo-Pacific, as the Philippines is a key player in the region and has long been a strategic partner for the United States. With China's increasing assertiveness in the South China Sea, it is more important than ever for the United States to have strong allies in the region. The election of Marcos as president also adds an element of suspense to the situation, as many are now watching closely to see how he will navigate the complex web of alliances and relationships in the Indo-Pacific, and whether he will be able to maintain the delicate balance between the United States and China. However, all is not sunshine and breeze, as under the leadership of Marcos, the Philippines is facing a growing China problem that has only intensified. For example, most recently, the Chinese Coast Guard directed a military-grade laser at a Philippine resupply mission, prompting Marcos to take action by summoning the Chinese ambassador. Besides this, the Philippines is also facing more frequent Chinese Coast Guard patrols, which are focused on key targets such as Second Thomas Shoal, Thitu Island, and Scarborough Shoal, which was lost to Beijing in 2012. To make matters more dicey, Marcos has made it clear that he will not let the country lose any of its territory and is actively working to uphold the Philippines' territorial integrity and sovereignty. Adding to the concerns, China's growing military pressure against Taiwan is also very worrisome for the Philippines. As Marcos put it, just by our geographical location, should there in fact be conflict in that area, it's very hard to imagine a scenario where the Philippines will not somehow get involved. In response to these threats, Marcos has taken positive steps to deepen the U.S.-Philippines alliance and support Washington's broader Indo-Pacific strategy. One such step was the recent expansion of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, which now includes 9 sites instead of 5. This will provide the U.S. military with greater capacity to project power from the Philippines in handling future contingencies. Additionally, Marcos recently visited Tokyo and signed a new agreement that allows the Japanese self-defense forces to operate in the Philippines for humanitarian assistance and natural disaster-related contingencies. Looking ahead, these steps may just be the beginning of a broader strategic shift, as Marcos has revealed that the Philippines, Japan, and the U.S. are engaged in joint defense pact talks, which could be a central element in providing stability in the face of the challenges the region is currently experiencing. There is also the possibility of expanding defense cooperation between the U.S. and the Philippines beyond just the number of military bases to include the authorization of what U.S. troops can do at these sites, such as stationing troops on a more permanent basis. Overall, Marcos's efforts demonstrate his commitment to defending the Philippines' sovereignty and working with allies to maintain regional stability. Duterte's foreign policy so far serves as a cautionary tale for leaders grappling with competing pressures and the ever-changing geopolitical landscape. It highlights the need for a nuanced and balanced approach that recognizes the importance of strategic partnerships while protecting national interests and upholding international law. Overall, the election of Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has brought a new sense of excitement and uncertainty to the Philippines and the wider Indo-Pacific region. As the world watches to see how this drama unfolds, one thing is clear: the Philippines will play a critical role in shaping the future of the region. Moving forward, the Philippines' foreign policy must continue to evolve and adapt to the changing realities of the world. It must balance the need for strategic partnerships with countries like China and the United States, while ensuring that Philippine national interests and territorial integrity are protected. As we look ahead to the future, the question remains: what will the next chapter of Philippine foreign policy bring? Will the country continue to navigate a complex web of alliances and relationships, or will a new leader emerge with a bold new vision for the country's place in the world? One thing is for sure: the story of Philippine foreign policy is far from over, and we can expect plenty of twists and turns along the way. But what do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you liked the video, why not give it a like and subscribe for all the latest news from around the world? And while you're here, why not check out this video? Until next time, bye.